I am live once again. It is a Thursday evening and here to have another question with Nyime live. It's been really great to have these live interactive sessions with you guys, just chopping it up, talking about some of these topics, and this week has been a bit heavier than last week. We're talking about vulnerability on Tuesday. Vulnerability in relationships. Can relationships survive without vulnerability? Can relationships thrive without vulnerability? And what does vulnerability look like in relationships? Examples of that. How we can actually practice vulnerability outside of like romantic relationships, for example. What is the best way of doing that? So it's been really, 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 really good, really informative, and it's been great. It's been great chopping it up with you all. So today we're talking about intimacy in relationships. Intimacy, I think, and vulnerability are quite closely aligned. Very, very kind of similar, I think. But yeah, it'd be interesting to hear what you guys have to say about it, or what you guys think about it. And for those people that will catch this live later, what your thoughts are on the whole topic. So I'm just gonna pin the topic and wait for a few of y'all to come in as well. I realize 8:30 p.m. is an interesting time because depending on what time people get back from work, for some people they'll be back from work a bit earlier and have dinner, and now this is their chilling time. For other people, it's not that. They get back from work around this time. So yeah, we'll wait one more minute to see who's going to jump on, and then we'll get started. But yeah, in terms of today, today's Thursday. Normally I do the questions with Nyime live on Tuesdays and Fridays, but unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, it's actually fortunately, I'm not doing it tomorrow evening because I've got a rehearsal for the Rebirth event that is taking place on Saturday, which is really exciting for me. Looking forward to sharing some of my songs with a live band and some BVs. So yeah, it's going to be great. I also want to say once again, thank you for all the love on my post about the Gospel Choice Music Awards nomination. Like, thank you so much, guys. Like, it's been a lot of love, and people have even tried to vote, and it's not even open yet. So when it is open in March, I will put the link on my platforms, and yeah, it'd be great if you could vote for me. It'd be amazing to win the award. And more so because of how much that can do for my music and taking it where it needs to go. So yeah. Okay, let's get started. So the question that I asked yesterday was, I've got my phone here for notes. The question I asked yesterday was, what is intimacy? So this was following on from the question on Monday, which was, can a relationship survive without vulnerability? And the second question was, what does vulnerability look like in relationships? And I thought intimacy was a good one to kind of like bridge on from those questions, because again, it's quite similar. So I think the first thing to do would be to talk about what intimacy actually is. And I think people have different definitions for it, because I know I did post an answer from somebody who said it means different things to different people. And so, but let's look at the dictionary definition first and then kind of go from there. So the dictionary definition for intimacy is closeness or close familiarity. I found that the definitions on the dictionary actually talk about sexual closeness and physical intimacy, but that's obviously not the only type of intimacy that you have. But ultimately, it's closeness. It's a close familiarity that you have between two people. And then following on from that, you've got different types and forms of intimacy. You've got obviously physical intimacy, you've got emotional intimacy, you've got spiritual intimacy as well. And I think that when it comes to relationships, whether it's a committed friendship, whether it's a committed romantic relationship, whether it's a marriage, the intimacy, the degree to which you have intimacy on each level, on each platform, will be different. In a marriage relationship, the idea is that all forms of intimacy are there, like are being engaged, should I say. In a friendship, I think the close familiarity would be probably emotionally, like sharing your heart, your soul with the person. And in a long-term relationship, depending on what your values are, it will be the same thing, probably. And also, I guess for some people, it'll be physical intimacy. If you're trying to live according to the scriptures, to the Bible, then the physical intimacy aspect of things is delayed until obviously you get married, and so on and so forth. So yeah, intimacy is a huge topic. I think that intimacy really is about connection. It's about connection between you and somebody else. And I think that when you're talking about what it looks like in relationships, it depends on who you're in relationship with, because everybody has, number one, has a different definition of it, and number two, everybody's built differently. So when we're looking at, for example, in a friendship relationship, you might find that, and I'm not talking about frivolous friendships, I'm not talking about acquaintances, we're talking about actual real friends, yeah, who have proven themselves time and time again to be real friends, to be committed to you, to actually like you, do you know what I mean? Not be in competition with you, not be jealous of you, like actually people who love you, you know what I'm trying to say? That's what we're talking about when we're talking about intimacy in friendships. But generally, I think that friendships are very underrated. I think there's a lot to be said about romantic relationships. We elevate that a lot, but when we talk about like platonic friendships, we don't talk enough about what that does for us as people, particularly as women. I think you know our friends, our girlfriends, those ones that we're really close to, we're next to, those are people that they can rescue us from the deep waters of life and life situations. Your friends, your girls are those people that are just rocks for you. Do you know what I mean? Like when times are good, when times are hard, like there's a group of people that have just got you, that uphold you. If you need encouragement sometimes, you've got your girls to do that. So for those kind of relationships, I feel like, where again, it's a trusted, there's a fruit that shows that you can trust these people. Those kinds of relationships, I believe that intimacy is more emotional. It's more of the bearing of a soul, bearing of your heart. It's more about revealing parts of you that you may not obviously reveal to everybody else. You know what I'm trying to say? And I think when it comes to intimacy as well, we have to talk about why, people may be guarded, may have walls, you know what I'm trying to say, because intimacy is almost kind of coming behind the wall. It's like, I remember someone saying this, intimacy being into me you see, right? So kind of playing on the word itself, but and breaking it up into 4 words. So into me you see, and I thought that was really, really clever. And I've always kind of taken that with me every time I think of the word intimacy. Into me, you see, right? And oftentimes into me, you see is going behind the walls, going behind the veil. It's going behind the barriers that we all put up. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because I think for the most part, when it comes to general day-to-day interactions with people, like, I won't say we're wearing a facade or wearing a mask, but there's degrees of ourself that we give to people. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So your girls are the people that are generally going to see behind the wall, right? Going to see behind the part that you protect and keep for yourself. And, there's different things that lead to us having walls up. For example, we talked about vulnerability. When you're vulnerable in the wrong space, you're vulnerable in the wrong environment. It means that, that can be a negative experience. You put a wall up. Obviously, if you experience trauma of any kind, automatically you put a wall up. If you experience have a bad relational experience, a bad friendship experience, a bad upbringing, those are generally walls that are going to put up. So in terms of like, I wouldn't say breaking those walls down, but somebody feeling comfortable to step outside of the walls and let you in, like that's something that can take time, and depending on who the person is, depending on what they've gone through, it is a process. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So those people who are willing to kind of engage with you and kind of walk you through that process, obviously those are the people that you would let in. But yeah, those walls are caused by something. They are there because of something. And I think intimacy is actually saying, okay, you know what, like, I am actually giving myself to you here, right? I'm giving myself to you. It's very similar to vulnerability. It's actually like exposing yourself, which again comes with risk, but it's actually, it's a gift. And that's how I see intimacy. It's me giving myself to you, because, you know, whatever I have on the inside of me is a treasure. It's of high value. Do you get what I mean? And I think sometimes people are guarded, not even because of trauma, not because of anything bad, but because they're just discerning. Like, they're not just going to let anybody come into their space. They're not going to let anybody come into their house and just do whatever they want to do. Of course, they're not going to do that. You know, they're going to make sure that they can trust the person that they are giving themselves to. And I think intimacy is very much about that, very much about connection, but also the giving of myself. And so obviously if you're giving of yourself, you're giving something, you are also receiving something, I'd like to believe. You're receiving something off the back of that. But hi Z, hope you're well. Let me know what you think about intimacy. Share your thoughts, because I know you got some thoughts, you know. But yeah, I think intimacy in relationships, what it can look like, again, is different. I did have some responses to the question that I posted today, which was what it looks like in relationships. One of the answers was about practice and intentional times to practice it. So, for example, I think a big way of practicing intimacy is obviously communication. Communication is so huge in relationships. It's so huge, because that is the vehicle, one of the main vehicles that we use to reveal ourselves, to basically share ourselves with others and what we feel and what we're thinking, you know, and the meaning that lies here with somebody else. Now, again, because we're all different and we have different connotations to different words and meanings to different things, you know, misunderstandings can be very common because of miscommunication. So I'm saying something to you, but then what you're hearing isn't what I'm saying. it's not what I'm trying to convey. So misunderstanding can be very common in communication. Communication is something that definitely has to be worked upon, and I think that it is practice. It has to be intentional practice for you to build communication, which therefore I think builds intimacy. I think that you have to be willing to be open. You have to be willing to share beyond obviously what you would share with someone else. Again, these are in context that you've got trusted individuals. I'm not telling you to be intimate with somebody that has not proven themselves to you, okay? They're not proving themselves to you. Love that. Into me, you see. That's so true. Yeah, absolutely. And please share your experience. Obviously, you're married. You've been married for over 10 years, I believe. 12 years, 13 years. Forgive me if I don't remember. But share what that's been like for you, as much as you can anyway. Do you know what I mean? Intimacy in your marriage. But I definitely think intentional practice is a key. Communication that is focused questions to understand what each person understands intimacy to be. And I think I posted that and said what I've just talked about with misunderstandings being so common in communication, which is expected due to our differences in upbringing, life experience, trauma, conditioning. But yeah, questions that focus on building that intimacy is so good. There's this I don't know if anyone's come across anyone's come across this channel on YouTube. They're called and it's like a platform where they bring two people together. They kind of sit facing each other, and there's these questions that they ask each other that really are designed to provoke deep conversation, deep thought. They're designed to kind of bring people close together by asking them the things that they probably wouldn't naturally talk about. I actually got one of my sister-in-law got one of the card games. So on my birthday in Paris, we did some of these questions, and it was actually really like, it was really deep. Like, it was really, really deep. But I love that kind of thing where it's focused questions that are targeted on building that intimacy, because you wouldn't ordinarily in everyday life, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Z, but you wouldn't ordinarily have these deep conversations in everyday life. Obviously you've got children, you've got, you know, work, you've got bills to pay, you've got extracurricular activities, you've got all these things going on, so you wouldn't ordinarily have that wouldn't be part of your conversation. But to have that time, perhaps maybe on date night, you know, you have these questions that are focused on building intimacy, getting to know each other, getting to know what each other is thinking and feeling in at any given time, in any given situation. What are your thoughts on this? What are your feelings on this? I think that is a good way to build intimacy in relationships. For a husband and wife, absolutely, definitely, we need to be working on our communication if we need to, but communicating on a regular basis, because the idea of marriage is that the two become one, and I don't think you can become one if there's no intimacy there. Obviously, we've got the physical intimacy side, which is very helpful, which is a blessing, which is which is you know, it does what needs to be done. Let's just put it there. Like, it's a very great benefit of marriage. But yeah, you got the physical aspect of it. But I think beyond the physical aspect of it, the deeper aspect of it for me is the emotional and mental intimacy. Like, what am I thinking? What are you thinking? What are you feeling? I want to get to know more about you without judgment as well. Because sometimes I think, again, safe spaces are so key when it comes to these things. If I'm going to give myself to you, if I'm going to reveal myself to you, if I'm going to expose myself to you, then I need to know that you're a safe space for me. I need to know that you're a safe environment for me to do that. And I think that it's great to have those spaces where we know that okay, it's good. I'm good here. If I come out of my shell, I'm good. I'm not in danger. 14 years this year, Z. Come on, man. You're a veteran in this thing. Please drop the gems. Drop the gems. Drop the gems. Drop the gems. Oh. Building intimacy isn't hard work, but conscious work. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's conscious work, and it's also conscious, consistent work. It has to be something that we're doing on a regular basis. It has to be something that is a priority for us, which is where I guess the intentionality of it comes in. And the physical intimacy, oh yes, you know, I'm sure you agree with me, Z. Do you know what I mean? It's a blessing, you know, it does what it needs to do. But then even with that though, from the perspective of women, oftentimes they say that women, for us, when it comes to the bedroom aspect of things, like, it starts from the top of the day. Do you get what I mean? Like, if there hasn't been that kind of like communication that is fostering, you know, your mood to, you know, wanna, you know, really enjoy the bedroom. Do you get what I'm trying to say? It can just be sex, you know, it's not really making love, as they say. It's just an act. Do you get what I mean? So even in that, there is the emotional intimacy, there's the mental intimacy, there's, are we communicating in a way that fosters us both enjoying our time in the bedroom, but both enjoying that physical intimacy. But yeah, drop the gems, G. Just a G. Drop the you're a G. Drop the gems, Z. But yeah, it's conscious work. I do like that. That's a really good one. A really, really good one. I'm just looking at someone, the same lovely lady said, create new situations, shake up the routine, and do something big together. I think that's a good one. You know, obviously life can become very monotonous at times, and so we don't want to get tired, you know, get bored. You know, shaking it up once in a while, I think, is helpful. It's helpful for fostering intimacy, doing something different, do something that kind of provokes different types of conversation, brings about different experiences, which again foster communication, which can, yeah, build intimacy. You know, at the end of the day, it's about getting to really know the other person. Like, really, I want to know you, you know? Like, I want to know my husband. Like, I want him to really know me as well. Do you get what I mean? Have an affirmations chat. Tell the other person things you love about them. I think that's a good one. Words of affirmation. So if anybody's a words of affirmation love language person, but that's definitely a good one. I think, again, those kinds of things help to build somebody up, help to encourage somebody. That helps to create a space that they feel comfortable in to be able to be, you know, to be who they are, to be themselves. And so I think that's a good one for fostering intimacy as well. But Z, what about you? How do you what is there any practical ways you build intimacy? Like you said, it's conscious work. So do you want to share some of the things that you're doing, that you do? But yeah, like for me personally, I think intimacy really is like, I'm a big talker. As you may you may see, or you may have gleaned, I like to talk. I like to really, but for me, it's about deep conversations. Like I'm not really a small talk person. I do it, but it's not really what I enjoy as much. Although I understand it can be the entry point to deeper conversations, but I love the deeper conversations. I want to know more. Like I want to get to the nitty gritty. Do you get what I mean? So for me, a big way is just talking, and I'm sharing. I'm not withholding, you know what I'm trying to say? I'm not withholding how I feel about anything. I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. I'm just trying to give you free the realness, basically. I'm trying to free it. I'm trying to let you know what's really going on. And yeah, that's one of the ways for me. It'll just be about talking. You know, my husband was asking me the other day, like, you know, how are you? You know, sometimes that question, how are you, is not often asked. You know what I mean? Like, how are you? And I'm like, today I was just feeling a bit overwhelmed. Like, for those of us that have children, you may understand what I'm talking about. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. So I was saying, I just felt a bit overwhelmed. And I was just talking about how I was feeling and stuff like that. But at the same time, talking about how, even though I was feeling like that, I also was encouraging myself as well. So I was feeling overwhelmed, I was encouraging myself. And it was nice to talk to my husband about it, obviously, because, you know, he's also encouraging me as well, and saying, you know, you're doing a great job as a mom and all that kind of stuff. And that's great to hear. You know, those kinds of things, like we talked about, the words of affirmation can encourage intimacy as well. You know, when someone is telling you what they really think. Sometimes we withhold what we really think about people. Like we should be now. I think it's a great thing that we're giving people their flowers, not when they've died, but now. Like we give people their flowers now. We let them know what they mean to us now. We let them know how they've impacted us now. We're not waiting until, you know, they've passed away and they can't even engage with what we're saying. We're giving people their flowers now, and I think it's important to do that. C says, kids sometimes can hinder intimacy, so it's important to carve out time without them to work. Absolutely. And I think I've had to work on this because I'm a stay-at-home mom, and my kids have literally been my whole life, literally, for the past nearly 7 years. And so when I'd have time away from them, I kind of miss them being around. But now I've learned to actually, like, it's okay for me to have time away from them and to feel okay about that. Like, you know, there's no mom guilt. There's none of that. Because at the end of the day, if I'm spending time with my husband, for example, which is oftentimes where the reason why I wouldn't be around them for a few days or whatever, that's absolutely necessary to build intimacy. Like you're saying, annual vacations. Like, I salute that one. Annual vacations are the one. And it's great because you now get to see what life was like before the kids. And it takes you back to when you were dating and things were like, you know, I don't know, there's a lot of, you know, the dating phase is exciting. You know what I mean? It takes you back to there. I think like you're probably more relaxed. Particularly if you're going on holiday, you're more relaxed, you're more at ease. You're not having to think about your children doing X, Y, Z and interrupting or doing whatever they're doing. You're able to focus on each other. Yes, you're able to focus on each other, and I think that's really, really important, particularly in marriage. Like you need to be dating regularly and having that time away from your kids. And And so I think that that's really, really important to build intimacy. Again, it's like, I feel like it has to be regular. The connection has to be regular. You have to be building regular. You have to be communicating regular. It's the little things that you're doing on a regular basis that help to foster that intimacy and help to build that connection and that closeness between the two of you in a relationship. But yeah, intentionality, absolutely. Dinners for two, have deep meaning conversation. Yes. I agree with that. And it's not even a case of like it's consequential. Like, oh, because we're going on a date, let's talk about something deep. Like, I feel like it needs to be something that we're like both say, oh, we need to prioritize this. We need to, because if I don't share with you, like it's easy to get lost in life as a married person, to get lost in life and everything that you've got to do in life that you just don't share enough. Like, do you know what I mean? You really have to make the time for that. You have to carve out space for that. So I am in full agreement with you, Z. Deep, meaningful conversation. Yeah, I got what you mean. But yeah, thanks for these. These are great. Like, these are ways to foster intimacy. How would you say that people should foster intimacy in friendships? So it's not a romantic relationship. It's obviously platonic. I think some of the things that I suggested before are great. Focus questions on stuff. Communication. Similar things, but obviously not entirely the same. Not entirely the same, yeah. I think within friendships, I definitely think that spending time together is a way to build intimacy. I think with girls, I think it's easier because we talk a lot, we share a lot. I think we're generally more likely to talk and express ourselves and to, and we're sharers, I think, to be honest with you. So it's easier for us to build intimacy within ourselves. I have friends that, I may not speak to them every day. Like, I might even speak to them for months. And then, like, we'll get on the phone and we'll talk for, like, 5 hours. And you're, like, wondering what you're talking about. But, that's the way that we foster intimacy. Like, obviously, these are people that, again, you've built a relationship with over the years. And so they're people that you trust. But I think, within friendships, it would be the spending time together. And we have to be intentional about that, Being a married person with kids, a husband, you need to make time for the girls to build that intimacy with each other. But yeah, intimacy looks different in different relationships. And because each relationship is not the same, it's because it's got different people in it. So I think we also have to figure out what works for each couple, what works for each relationship as well. But whoop, would you look at the time? It's 2 minutes to 9. This has been a great conversation, Z. Thanks for getting involved, sharing your thoughts, sharing your gems. Yes, being intentional, definitely. Yes, I think intentionality is so important because otherwise it doesn't get done. What is important and what is the priority just doesn't get the attention and the energy that it deserves. And I think you just have to carve out space for it and you have to be intentional. But yeah, keep fostering intimacy. Husbands and wives, make sure that you are taking the time out to see into each other. Into me you see, to see into each other, to share honestly, communicate honestly between yourselves and keep growing your connection and your love. And hopefully your love continues to grow for each other and is maturing in a beautiful way as the years go on, as the years go by. For friends as well, for those trusted friends, I think that we get out of friendship what we put into friendship. And I think if you're not willing to be open and to share of yourself, I don't think you get the benefit of the friendship if you don't do that. I think if you stay guarded, I don't think you really get the benefit of the friendship or how it can help you, how it can heal you, how friendships can motivate you, be an asset, be a benefit to you. And in friendship, it needs to be two-way. Some friends don't reciprocate, and that I have no time for in 2020. That's what I'm saying. Like, we're not talking about friendships that like there's no reciprocity there. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I feel like there has to be, I think I talked about it in my last episode actually, that there has to be reciprocity. There has to be a level of commitment to each other. There has to be a level of respect, mutual respect. We're not jealous of each other. We're not secretly plotting against the person. Do you know what I mean? You know, there's actually genuine love there. And I truly believe whatever is hidden will be brought to light. So over time, you'll be able to see if this person is a true friend. Do you know what I mean? You'll be able to see if the person's a true friend over time. And yeah, I agree with you. No, in 2023, yeah, like so many things are just, it can't run in 2023. It just can't. You know, at this point in my life, at this point in our lives, certain things cannot run. The friendships need to be true. They need to be real. They need to be, I need to know that whatever, the energy is right. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I mean, you can always feel it. You can always discern it, can't you? When it's true people versus people that are just, you know, they're just there. They're just there. But yeah, you are making sense. You are absolutely making sense. I think one of the topics I guess we could explore actually, I don't want to keep this too long, but is making friends as an adult, you know, as an adult, what that's like in comparison to obviously when you're younger, and you're in spaces where you're seeing way more people, school, college, university, all that kind of stuff. Like what it's like to make friends as an older person. I think that'd be a great topic to explore. Real friends only, please, from henceforward. Listen, real friends. And now that we're older and wiser, I was actually saying this to myself, actually thinking this to myself, that being the age that I'm at now, I feel like I'm so much wiser. It's a richer season of life because there's wisdom and there's discernment and there's the ability to spot someone who's not really true from a mile away. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Rather than just it being revealed to you years down the line, you know? So we have that ability now, because 2023, we're not playing no games. 2023, I mean, you'll see. By the end of 2023, you'll see what it was going to be. Yes, I completely agree with you, Z. Real friends only, please, from henceforward. Definitely, please explore that topic. We need more conversations on these things. Absolutely. I have found that it's not as easy. It really isn't. And it's not because, it's not for want of, and I'm sure with you, Z, it's the same thing. Like, you can talk to anybody. Like, I'm sure you can talk to anyone. Like, you're a friendly person, you're a bubbly person. You can talk to anyone. But it's about, do I want to explore, do I want to be intimate with you in friendship? Do I really want that? Do you get what I'm trying to say? There's levels to this thing. Are we even really friends? Or are we acquaintances? Do you know what I'm trying to say? What's really going on? But yeah, I think I'll pose that as one of the questions, maybe, if not next week, maybe the week after, like making friends and what is that like? But yeah, we should definitely talk about it. But yes, it's 9:03. I only intend for these sessions to be 20 minutes and they always go on and on. But, you know, it's been great, Z. Thanks for interacting with me and sharing your thoughts, sharing your gems. Hey. But yes, for those people that have just joined the live, I am wrapping it up here and I will be posting the live as soon as I have downloaded it. So you can rewatch. Please continue the conversation. Hi, Sherry. How are you? Please continue the conversation in the comments if you have any thoughts. I'm going to do a recap video. I was supposed to do a recap video for the last one. I haven't had time to do that. I'm going to do a recap video for the last one, a recap video for this one. And then, you know, we can kind of continue the conversation. And if there's any more questions, guys, if there's any questions that we want to explore, for example, making friends as an adult, let's talk about it. Any other questions you want to explore, let's talk about it. Let's actually have conversation and dialogue. Oh, thanks, Z. I appreciate your support, man. Thank you so much. I will definitely be keeping up the content. I'm good, thanks, my French chic friend. Hey, I'm still in Paris. Well, you know, I've kind of left Paris in my mind now, you know, but yes, Paris was a great time. Hello there. Oh, people are just joining. You guys are joining. I joined in late, so but hi. Lovely to meet you guys. As I was saying, I'm wrapping up now, but questions with Email Live will be back on Tuesday. We'll be tackling some more questions next week. I will post a question tomorrow, even though I'm not going live tomorrow. But yeah, you can rewatch this live, continue the conversation. Let's talk about intimacy. What is intimacy? Intimacy in relationships. Give us some practical tips and advice. And we'll talk about it. Gentle John 5. I know you want to be in my video, but maybe next time. Maybe on Tuesday. But thank you so much. I appreciate you wanting to be involved. But guys, I'm going to leave you. I'm going to love you and leave you. And we will talk again soon. Take care of yourselves. Have a great weekend. And be back here 8:30 on Tuesday. We're going to chop it up. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.